Hi everybody. Right, today's experiment is Claude Code. I'm trying to build something with it which is quite a challenge, and I must admit I've not tried it before because I'll show you in a second what it is. And the key is what I give it is this. It's just a scribble on a piece of paper which I took a picture of, and that's open here. Right, hope you can see this. I can hardly read it. Let's help a bit with glasses. Right, I wanted to make a website for me with, as you can see, there's a couple of components here. Website at the top, Node.js in the middle. I wanted to use the Express.js web server and routing and stuff. A database, MariaDB, and I wanted to talk to Anthropic Claude 3.7 to figure out a few things. The goal is scattered around the whole page. It needs to figure it all out really. The goal is I want a website which has a calendar, tasks, and then I want to be able to enter new tasks, obviously. And what it's supposed to do is make these persistent in the first place, and then analyze them. What I mean by that, I hope it understands what I wrote there. Didn't really express it very well. I wanted to distribute them across in the calendar so that similar tasks come after each other or so. And it's quite a challenge. From this picture, I'm not going to tell it much more. And what I have to say to my environment, it's really, I want to start these experiments always like this. It's an empty, clean Ubuntu install. The only thing I've installed so far is the Chrome browser. And what I need to do, because I know Claude Code, I don't want it to run commands as root. Therefore, I'm gonna install the database and Node.js already. Claude Code could do that, but then I need to give it permission to run sudo commands, which I don't really want. Well, I guess it could, but anyway, I want to install these myself. So what I need to do is, first of all, Claude Code is not installed. Yeah, let's Google that. Install Claude Code. There we go. Yeah. Right. Accept that stuff. Claude Code. Is there a direct install? Guess so. All right. It needs an npm command, so I'm gonna have to install npm also. npm is the Node package manager. It doesn't really need Node to run, but I'm gonna install Node.js as well. So let me install quickly what I said, prerequisites for this experiment. Sudo apt install npm we said. That's all still default settings, yeah, go ahead. Quite curious actually if it's going to be able to do this. Oh, that takes a moment. So, right, Claude Code, for those who don't know, I guess when you're watching this, you know what it is. It's a command line MCP server by Anthropic, which talks to their large language model, their most advanced, which is Claude 3.7. And it's, I tried a few things with it already. It has no problem to make a website even with a simple database, and it looks alright actually, the end results, and they normally run out of the box. And even the code it writes, when you give it a bit of guidelines how to write code, how to make API calls or whatever, how to structure it, what files, all that stuff, then it's actually good. I like what it's doing. Pleased with it. And for this one, I'm not going to tell it too much. I give it this picture, Jesus, that takes long. I guess not the quickest virtual machine I've set up here. Right, so npm is installed. Now, it may have installed Node.js with it. Let's just quickly check that. Sudo apt install Node.js. Right, that's installed. Not bad. What did we say? MariaDB. Sudo apt install MariaDB. It's called MariaDB server. That's what we want. Yeah. And in MariaDB, I'm going to set up a user. So it has not much of a struggle to connect. Right, MariaDB is there. Let's set up a user. I'm gonna have to tell it the username password also. Then Claude Code. I wanted to actually create a table and all that stuff also. So it won't be just the picture, it will be the picture and a bit of text of what I'm installing here. So MariaDB, I need to sudo, because it has no user yet. Then create user, what shall we call it? Let's just call it really simple user. Identified by password, what else? Right, grant all privileges on star to that new user I've created, localhost with grant option. Oh yeah, right, that was fine. Flush privileges. Done. So maybe let's make a database. Create database. First of all, do we have a name? Calendar planner. I called the picture that, so let's call the whole thing that. And the database and the directory and everything. Calendar planner. Right, database created. Let's go out. So we've got Node Package Manager installed. I need that to install Claude Code, which we're doing in a second. Node.js is installed. MariaDB is installed. And now let's copy that over. Obviously, yeah, I need to sudo that because it's a global install. Now, getting closer. Good. Yeah, let's create a directory for this project. What did we call it? Calendar planner. Planner. Right, the rest of the time we're going to spend in this directory. Now let's see. Claude is installed, Node.js, MariaDB, everything else it's up to Claude. Let's start it. Right, yeah, what color dark, yeah, why not? Anthropic, yes, here are two options. If I had a Mac subscription, I would click down there, but I don't. I just use the API with pay as you go. I never quite figured out what's cheaper in the long run. And because the Max is not cheap. Now it's opening a browser. I'm quickly logging in. Right, it's logging in and it's done. So I haven't really set up a lot in Anthropic in the console, so I'm just going to authorize it to book against my individual organization, which has a bit of funding, not so much, but I don't think we're going to spend more than $1 to $2 for this. Hopefully. Login successful, yeah. So, some notes, yeah, fine. Yeah, All good, I guess. Yes, Claude Code can read files in this folder. That's why I created one, and we just work in here. Yes, proceed. And now it's here. It listens for my commands. And I can't just give it the picture here. I can't drag that in. That's only command line. So what I do is, I've got the picture here. I showed you that before. It's really hard to read. Let's copy that over to this folder that we just made. So it's got something in there. What I'm also going to do is, I prefer this way. I want to tell Claude, instead of typing it all in this one line here, I'm going to tell it read a file and do what it says. So I'm going to create a file in that same directory using this Ubuntu editor. Right. I want you to create the full solution to the picture. Well, great sentence. It's probably struggling to understand what I want. Calendar planner.jpg. So to be exact, saves it a bit of search. Right. And I'm also gonna tell it what I just installed. Node.js is installed. MariaDB is also installed. Use the database calendar planner. Log in with user password. So hopefully understands what I mean. MariaDB. Any other config items you may need, like for instance the Claude API key, place them into a file called config.js. So that's probably it. Very little instruction. I'm not telling it anything about this solution. I'm only telling it what I have, which is the database, how to log into it, and I want one file which is config.js. But it obviously, hopefully it figures out it needs to create an app.js and a public and whatever. I'm going to tell it that. Put front-end sources into public. So the reason I'm telling it this is sometimes it creates it in a totally different directory and starts a different web server with front-end and back-end and stuff. But I want it all to be served or to be run as one Node.js app. So here we're in the directory and I call this todo.txt. That's for Claude. Right, we're ready. Experiment can start. Hopefully it leaves me alone now for a while and we just watch it. Right, read todo.txt and do what it asks. Go. It will ask me a few things. Initially it's going to ask me for permissions to do stuff, but then I'm always going to say yes and don't ask again. So maybe I can talk a bit about Claude Code, what it is, like an MCP server with a few tools. They're especially able to run shell commands and write files, read files, that stuff. And with that set of tools, equipment, it's actually theoretically able. I can read my picture, send it up to Claude, that figures out what I want and it sends the commands back, and iteratively it should build the whole thing. Right, first question it asks. Right, it's gonna... Oh yeah, right, it's gonna do a full stack there of things with middleware. Yeah, fine, let's do it. Right, now it's asking me again what to do. What's actually the question? Does it just want to write the file? Bash mkdir package, yeah, and here create file. Yes, you can create files. I guess it's going to ask me again to run npm install commands. And I've given it permission to write files already. Oh, did I tell it to read the picture? Yes. Good. Because otherwise I would be interested what it's coming up with. But it's got some input. So this, yeah, it's it's doing stuff. It's filling up slowly the size of the context, because the MCP server, what that does is it starts sending stuff to Claude, then it receives a response with tool calls normally, and it executes tool calls, sends the response back, and it builds up. Yeah, the whole context fills up with each message back and forth. It grows. So after a while, it's going to say, maybe this is not big enough. Wonder how efficient it codes this. But it's going to print down here somewhere how much of the context is already used up. And then when it's at 100%, it's game over. But there are options. You can here you can enter commands. You can enter compact, for instance, or clean, I believe. If you start with a slash, it shows you what it's able to run, but I don't really want to interrupt it now. What's interesting too about this, while this is running, no idea what it does, but hopefully the right things. Let's open up another one. I can show you this if you're interested. So for those who know how this MCP thing works, it's really nothing else than just talking to a large language model with tool calling. But the MCP server just has a few tools built in, which if you wrote it yourself, you have to code the tools first, and then always add the tools to the chain of messages. Then it knows what it can run as tools. So what we have here, I'm in the home directory. I'm going to a subdirectory called .claude. That's where its brain sits, here in this projects, and there should be one for my, exactly. Now this has a funny name. It's quite difficult to CD into it. Therefore, let's just open it from here. Although that editor is quickly exhausted normally when things grow. Projects, in here we want to be. So this is already how big? 300k. It's decent. Let's see if it can handle it. Alright, it's opened. We see this is really the context. That's one message after the other. And it's sometimes, some of these I think are not messages, but normally they are. We see there's, if we just make that bigger. So there are some attributes which aren't really part of it. But here that's for instance a command it ran. Like, oh no, that's just some information, I guess. Yeah, that's some starting. Here it starts. Type user message role user content. That's really what the message is this curly braces here. That's one message. That's basically the first one. Read to do and do what it asks. And then it adds a few things around this object. And then what else? It's doing stuff. I didn't spend too much time analyzing it. But here, for instance, the assistant is Claude, and it sends back a text. I need to check if a file called to do exists in the project directory tool use. So the tool has a name here, input pattern, blah blah. It's trying to find that file, obviously. And then, what else? I guess there's a response going back. Prints quite a lot. All user content, tool result, to do, txt, alright. It just sends the file name back. And so on and so on. So this is really the way it goes. Here it sends the picture. So it's probably going to ask, send me the picture. So that is encoded as base64, sends it, and then after the picture it's hopefully thinking about what it needs to do, and what it normally does, it creates a task list, which it would have been displayed here, but it's also outputting everything it writes. So it's the red stuff is deleting, so it's already changed its mind, I guess, and deletes stuff and makes it differently. So it's thinking as well. Sometimes it tries things out. When it finds it's not working, it thinks about it and fixes it. It's quite nice so far. It's running. Context is not full yet. My experience is files, I try to keep them under 4,000 lines, because when you send that back and forth a few times with Claude, it's filling quickly. And also pinpoint it if the project is finished, or if you take it to a finished project and you want to change something in the CSS, for instance, then just pinpoint it to the file it should change, because as you've seen, it understands that stuff. It tries to see what files exist with a shell command, sends that back, and then it only works on those. Otherwise, it really tries to read the whole structure, tries to understand the full project, and then the context is full before you even start. So always pinpoint it. Right, gives me time for a sip. Oh, that's good. So this is the future life of a developer, maybe. Right, what's it? Is it asking me something? Bash command. Yeah, sure, you can do that. You can find files. Should actually know what files are there because it was empty before. Which it didn't know, fair enough. Oh right, it's already done. So it's giving me a nice description of what it all did. But I'm quite curious, I can't wait. Let's start it up without reading it. Right, here, this is what we need to know. The website's going to run at port 3000. I didn't install the dependencies. Alright, let's do that. I need to go back to my calendar planner. npm install. So that's going to install everything it thinks it needs. It wrote that all to the packages JSON. Right, done. Now, node app, or how does it start? Ooh, no, it told me. Run, npm run def. Right. Let's see what we, just a glimpse. Server.js. I guess. Maybe there's a config file which I asked it to do. No? Not great. Yes, there is a full directory made. cd config. What's in here? Right. Is there anything I need to put in? Localhost, so it knows all that stuff. My Claude key. Yes, I should have that somewhere. Right, that's done. I've entered my Anthropic API key. That stuff you can when you sign up to the Anthropic API, you can create keys there. Yeah, that's what I pasted here. And then you add some funding and then it's ready to go. So what's in database? Cut database. Anything I need to do? No. It's in the config directory, but I don't think I need to set anything here, do I? No, it creates the table, crease, fair enough. So this creates the table, it seems. Right, let's have a go. Port 3000, node server.js. Not saying much, but let's see what we have. Localhost 3000. Oh no, that's not correct. It's crashed already. Unknown database. Calendar planner. What's wrong with that? Don't know. Did I not just log into it? Let's quickly check. MariaDB -u user -p password. Then let's go to that database. I've copied it from the error message. Ooh, show databases. Calendar planner. Calendar. Oh, Jesus. Alright, I guess that's a setting in the config. Sorry for this. Shouldn't have had that glass of wine next to me, then I had seen it quicker. Right, I've changed it. Config.js, I set the database name right. And now try again. Node server.js. Ooh, that looks better. No error. And it says connected to the database. So let's see. Port 3000. Ooh, not bad, not bad. So the calendar is here. Tasks, obviously I've not entered any. Can I create one? Yes. Right, let's say tomorrow morning breakfast. Breakfast. I didn't think of tasks. So I'm just making it all up. Takes me how long? 30 minutes. Actual time. I don't know that. Needs to happen until tomorrow midday. Tomorrow is Tuesday, 20th. Needs to happen till, yeah, let's not be too crazy about that. Yeah, whatever. Not so bad, this whole calendar input thing it made. Right, save. No errors yet. And does it show in the calendar? Where were we? Here, alright. I can, if I click, it directly prompts me to add an event. Maybe it doesn't really render I would want it to actually draw the entries here too. Maybe if I do that. Monday. Let's go a day further. There isn't anything. Could also be that I need to analyze the tasks first before. Yeah, good point actually. That's the whole point of the idea that it puts the stuff onto the calendar using Claude AI. So let's first test. I want to restart this and see it's still here. And now reanalyze tasks. That's probably the most difficult. Here we have the log. So be ready to see an error popping up there. Reanalyze. Right. Cannot read properties. Now, right, that's unfortunate. Root analyze JS. Now, let's take a quick look. I hope we don't need to fix too many bugs. So we go to our calendar planner, the roots, that's Express, JS, and where is it? Analyze JS. I'm not normally working with this edit. I prefer to use VS Code, but that's not installed now here. Not even line numbering. That's really not perfect. All right, cannot read properties of undefined. It's trying to read create. Line 40. Let's just search for create. Here, Anthropic messages create. How does it use Anthropic? Is that a library? Yes. So it should not have failed here because this is actually, it's happy. It's Anthropic. I could have used OpenAI. I would understand if it falls over then, but not with itself. Right, what I do now, because I'm lazy, is I'm going to paste this into my to-do list, to-do file for it, which we have here. That's the to-do file. Now I'm gonna tell it fix it. When I run server.js and analyze tasks, it throws an error. Fix it, please. Right, save, and now we can just tell it the exact same thing, read to do and do all the asks. That's fine. I'm going in the meanwhile stopping this server. Oh no, it's changing it back to the wrong one. Right. Anyway, here, what else? npm install dependencies. Yeah, I did that, didn't I? Or maybe one failed. So we see it can run npm install. Could have done that in the beginning already. Node server. No, I want to do that myself because I need to change back. Oh, I said yes. I actually wanted no. Yeah, let's break this because it would not work. cd config. I'm quickly going to change the database name back. Right, it's changed. Now let's start it. Node app.js. Not app, server. Server.js. Right, there we go. Has it actually said anything? No. That's all it found. The database name being wrong. I'm pretty sure that's still not working. So if I reload, fine. Reanalyze. Error. Right. Let's do clean. So here are the commands. So if I start here, because it remembers that the database name was something else. And I just wanted to forget. Clear. The problem is it's going to read the full solution again. Costs a bit. But because we're lazy, we're doing the vibe coding here. I'm not going to bother about trying to fix the error myself. That's what I have Claude for. Right, what's my to-do saying? I just leave this as it is. So hopefully it's not going to change we're not going to think the database name in the config is the problem. It should really find the error. Did I copy enough here? Great, yes, alright, it's got the file name in here. Should figure out something's wrong with the way it uses the Claude API. So what we see now, it's going to read a bunch of files because it needs to understand the project. Because I wiped its brain. But maybe it's cleverer after. Who knows? I really hope it works. Because the experiment should be a success. Alright, I found something. The error is occurring in the analyze file line for blah 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 because it's trying Anthropic sessions call, but it has something else now. Anthropic messages create, and now it's messages create. Alright, interesting. that it made this wrong in the first place. And now it's trying to start it again. I don't want that. Do you want to proceed? No. It would even ask me to kill, yeah, we've seen that. But I just kill it like this and start it again. Here we go. Let's see. Still works, kind of. And reanalyze. Fingers crossed. Ooh! Right, still an error. Change the communication to Anthropic API completely and use only the fetch command. So I prefer this way. I'm normally using Axios, but fetch should do that. Should be able to do it. Read to do. Because then we know exactly what's going on. And we get the full response back and don't know what that SDK does. Right, class empty, solution should be done. So it's got this last chance. Right, what's it doing here? Yeah, right, that's what we want. So it calls v1 messages, then the whole 3 haiku, whatever. The message is won by the user with content. That looks much better to me. No, yeah, right, let's fetch, let's install that. So it's probably ready now. Somehow I'm feeling more convinced now. It doesn't get lost in its own SDK. First check, yeah, still loads, reanalyze. Ooh. I would call that a success. Well, at least from here, yeah, no error. And now here, I don't really know what that did. So, due, that could have placed it anywhere between now and then, I guess. Day, today, nothing to do, tomorrow. Well, right. That task, I really want that on the calendar. Shall I ask that? That's my last request for it for today. Because it seems to be not so far. Change, I really wanted to only change the GUI. And the GUI is placed, it should be in public. Calendar, public, yeah, here. Show up on the calendar. After analyzing, they should be placed where they belong. However, let's see if it did anything. I'm just curious if it did anything on the database. MariaDB, right. MariaDB. Then use calendar planner. Show tables. What did it make? Calendar events. Empty from tasks. there's that. So there's nothing else actually done. So I'm not quite sure if it really did work, this analyze. If we check quickly, so it sends this. It makes the prompt here. Fine. What does it want? The best time slot. Yes. Yes. Please provide in a JSON format. It's not really defining the format, is it? That's pretty difficult to figure out then. Then it extracts the JSONs, suggestions, and what does it do? Then it, wherever, somewhere it calls this from and sends it back. I hope it's not just sending it back to the GUI. Yes, it does. It's really not doing much here. Yeah, it needs quite a few tweaks. So I think we're gonna finish it here. I'm half impressed, I must say. Bottom line, what it does really well still. It talks to MariaDB. It makes a nice looking website. I'm actually quite impressed by the calendar and the date selectors and stuff it made. I'm less impressed by how it tried to implement talking to Anthropic, especially because Claude is by Anthropic. I must say it failed. I got it to make it managed to do it with fetch, but the SDK it's not very good at. And then somehow this analyzing and putting it back to the calendar it struggles with, but I can't really blame it too much, because I guess what's more to blame is my instructions. They're really not great. So it's, yeah, let's take that as a half success, first experiment. And if you like it, if you like to watch any more such experiments, subscribe please. I have a few cool ideas in mind what we can try. One is going to be a trading robot, and a few more things. Not only I'm not only going to vibe code with Claude Code. Yeah, that was this now. The rest is going to be more using AI to actually figure out stuff. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye everybody.